I bought a $10,000 RV and it's about to generate $120,000 in revenue for my farm. And no, I'm not living in it, renting it out on Airbnb, or flipping it. Here's the thing. Most people think a trailer is a liability, a depreciating asset that costs money. I looked at that same RV and saw something completely different, a key. A key that unlocked a labor problem I couldn't solve any other way. By the end of this video, I'm gonna show you the exact framework I use to evaluate any asset purchase, not just what does this cost me, but what does this unlock? Because that single mindset shift, it's how I find deals most people walk right past. All right, so let me back up. I own a farm, 13 acres right in my backyard, smack dab in the middle of the city. It's called Hidden Gem Farm. I bought it at the end of 2020, turned it into a regenerative produce operation, 3.5 acres of active growing, 80 different varieties of fruits and vegetables each year. And the whole thing runs on a subscription model. Customers pay $1,200 a year. That's 30 weeks of produce boxes at $40 a week. If you pay in full, you get a few bonus weeks. It's clean, it's predictable, it's recurring revenue. Now, our regenerative farming method came from the late 1800s. A woman named Ruth Stout laid a whole bunch of hay on her crops. So we don't spray anything, no pesticides, no herbicides, nothing. We just use deep hay mulch. The hay decomposes back into the soil and builds it back naturally. It's beautiful in theory. In practice, laying a bunch of hay in 110-degree Tennessee heat is absolutely brutal. And here's where the clock starts ticking. For years, I had a professional farmer helping me out. The guy was an absolute workhorse, nonstop, relentless. But over a year ago, we went our separate ways. And when he left, the farm suffered. We had high school kids working part-time. They're good kids, but listen, they'd show up after school, they'd chat, they'd be on their phones. I figured out it takes about 8 of those kids to do the work of one focused, full-time, hardworking adult. 8 kids to 1 adult. That math is a disaster. So last year, the produce was just okay at best. Not abundant, not what I wanted for our subscription. And I knew something had to change. So I started talking to another farmer that I do business with. This guy is a genius. He grows salad year-round on a single acre and does about $1 million in revenue. 1 acre, salad and microgreens, $5 and $10 products. He just does massive volume. So I asked him, how do you get good labor? He looked at me like I asked the dumbest question he had ever heard. H-2A visa, he said. Everybody does it. You bring guys over from Mexico or Central America on an agricultural work visa. Hard workers, reliable, legal, and structured. I had literally never heard of this. And here's where most people would have stopped. Because what came next is the thing that nobody warns you about. So I start digging in over the winter. The H-2A visa program is straightforward. You file an application, you post the job listing, you hire. The workers come over, you pay for their flights and their trip. They work 40 hours a week minimum and you pay them about $15 an hour. 2 workers, 40 hours a week, $600 each. That's only $1,200 a week in labor. I was paying more than that for the kids. That $1,200 in labor is just 30 subscriptions. 30 people at $40 a week covers my entire labor bill. Every member after that, that's where I start printing money. So 50 people above that break even, that would be $2,000 a week or $8,000 a month. Across 8 solid growing months, that's $64,000 in profit. I'm sitting there doing the math and I'm thinking, this is incredible, but there's one problem. You have to provide housing for them. That's the requirement. You bring someone over on an H-2A visa, you're required to give them a place to live. Now, I've got a beautiful Airbnb on the farm that books for about $450 a night. I've also got 2 tiny houses we built for my TV show that go for $200 a night. I'm not putting full-time farm workers in those. That's not happening. It's gonna cost me a lot of money and it's probably gonna get beat up. But the requirement, not that demanding. We're talking somewhere around 50 square feet per person. Most farmers just get a trailer or an RV, and that's where the math clicked. So here's the decision I'm facing. I've got $64,000 in projected profits sitting on the other side of a labor problem I can't solve with the people I have. The solution is the H-2A visa. The visa requires housing. The housing requires an RV. I had never bought an RV in my life, never owned one. I drove one once. My first instinct, these things are probably $30,000 to $50,000. That's a big swing for something I might not need after this season. And here's where most people would make the wrong decision. They either say the cost is too high and walk away from this whole strategy, or they go spend 40 grand on a brand new rig because they're buying a thing instead of buying a tool. I went to Facebook Marketplace instead, and here's what I found. Nice, solid RVs for $15,000 to $20,000 all day long. That's the market. Now, watch what happens when you look at this like a flipper instead of a consumer. The guy I found had his RV listed at $17,000. I'm already thinking this is $37,000 cheaper than my worst case assumption, but I don't pay asking price ever. I messaged him, we went back and forth a little bit, and he came down to $13,000. Then I came in at $10,000 cash, and he took it. I hadn't even seen this RV yet, so when I sent someone to get it, he didn't bring a $10,000 cashier's check. He brought a $9,000 cashier's check and $1,000 in cash. Why? The reason is, when my farm manager's husband drove out to pick it up, if anything was wrong with it, if it was worse than the photo showed, if something was broken, if there was hidden damage, he had room to negotiate further on site. He could have walked away paying $9,200, $9,300, $9,500. The $1,000 in cash was the adjustment or the flex. It's a live negotiating chip. As it turns out, the RV was better in person than we even expected, so we paid the full $10,000. But the option was there, and the option matters. Huge lesson to learn right there, don't miss it. So here's where we landed. RV price, $10,000, and it's a tax write-off. At the 35% tax bracket, that's $3,500 right back in my pocket. So the real cost of the RV is only $6,500. And that $6,500 asset is now parked behind my finished garage on the farm. So that $40 a week member is worth multiples of that over time. Now, you might be thinking, Bill, that's a lot of projections. You're not really there yet, are you? And you'd be right. We're building towards those numbers. But here's what I know for certain. A $6,500 after-tax investment already solved my single biggest operational problem, labor. And it gave me an asset I can sell when I'm done, or I can take my family on a trip if I need to. That's not a cost, that's a trade. Lesson number 1, stop buying tools, start buying keys. Listen, when most people looked at my farm problem, they would have said, hire better people, or pay more, or automate something. I looked at it and said, what is the key that unlocks everything? The RV wasn't a solution to a housing problem, it was the key to a visa program. The visa program was the key to labor. The labor was the key to $120,000 in revenue. Here's what nobody tells you about asset purchases. The question isn't, what does this cost me? The question is, what does this unlock? A $10,000 RV that produces nothing is a liability. A $10,000 RV that unlocks a $64,000 net profit stream is a 6.4x return on capital. Before you write any check, ask yourself this: is this a tool or a key? Tools cost money, keys make money. Lesson number 2, always split your sight unseen payment. Here's a real tactical tip I use constantly, and I'm surprised more people don't do this. When you're buying anything significant that you haven't personally inspected before the transaction, never hand over the full amount in a single non-negotiable instrument. Split it. Cashier's check for most of it, cash for the remainder. Or bring cash. In this case, a $9,000 cashier's check and $1,000 cash. When the seller's holding that check, he's already mentally committed to the deal. But on site, if the condition is different from what was advertised, the cash gives my guy or me room to negotiate. He can pay less, $9,200, and then we pocket the $800 back. He can negotiate a $500 discount for a mechanical issue. The flexibility lives in that cash. Here's the principle. Negotiating leverage disappears the moment the other party has your money. Keep some leverage in your pocket until you personally confirmed what you're buying. This works on watches, cars, equipment, real estate, earnest money. Anytime you're committing to something you haven't fully verified in person, it works. Lesson number 3, tax efficiency is part of the deal math, always. Most people calculate a deal like this: I spent $10,000, full stop. Wrong. I spent $10,000 in a 35% tax bracket on a legitimate business asset with immediate write-off potential, which means the government just handed me $3,500 back. My real cost is $6,500. Now, run the ROI on that. $6,500 in, $64,000 in projected profit. That's nearly a 10-to-1 return. Here's what nobody tells you about running a business. Every dollar you spend strategically costs you less than face value. That $10,000 RV costs a 35% tax bracket business owner only $6,500. A $50,000 piece of equipment might really only cost $32,500. A $5,000 business trip might only cost $3,250. This isn't even creative accounting, it's just math. Before you make any significant purchase, run the after-tax numbers. Your real cost is always lower than the sticker price, and your real return is almost always higher than you thought. Look, if you want the complete framework I use for structuring deals like this, evaluating asset purchases, running the real ROI, thinking through taxes before you write a check, I've put it all inside 7-Figure Flipping. It's designed primarily for real estate and high-value asset flips, but these principles work on anything. Farms, RVs, watches, whatever. The link's in the description if you want to check it out. Here's the meta lesson from all of this. The best investments I've ever made weren't the obvious ones. They weren't the things that looked like investments on the surface. They were the keys, the asset that unlocked other assets. A $10,000 trailer isn't that exciting, but a $10,000 trailer that staffs a farm, that generates $120,000 in revenue, get write-offs on your taxes, and holds its resale value, that's a deal. That's how you have to think. And speaking of assets that unlock other assets, next week I'm breaking down one of my most unusual flips ever, the numbers on a plane deal that almost went completely sideways, and the one decision that saved me. Then after that, I'm walking through a mobile home flip where we manufactured equity out of thin air. And here's the wild one coming up after that. I'm gonna do a deep dive on how I used a Rolex to fund a real estate deal. 2 completely different asset classes, 1 strategy. So if you're serious about learning how to flip anything, watches, farms, houses, cars, planes, beef, whatever has arbitrage in it, hit the subscribe button right now. I'm dropping a new flip story every single week, and every single one teaches a different framework you can use on your own deals. Drop a comment for me below. What's the most underrated asset you've ever bought that unlocked something bigger? I read every single one. I'll see you on the next video.